Good afternoon. Welcome to the third session of Futuristic Thursday for Happy Parenting and Holistic Habits. First of all, I would like to remind you all regarding the main event behind these sessions. So it's the International Education Summit for Quality Education 2022, which will be held from 28th to 30th October 2022 in Lucknow, India. So I take this an opportunity to invite you all for this summit in October. So moving back to today's session, we have Mrs. Rowena Ajay Phillips from India. She is an entrepreneur, an educator, a trainer, a coach, and a psychologist. So on behalf of the Sahi Association, I would like to warmly welcome you, madam, for this third session. And we also have Dr. Dheeraj Malhotra, the principal of Kunwar Global School, Lucknow, India. Welcome, sir. And I would like to welcome Mr. Janaka Kamalgoda, the president of our association. And also a very warm welcome to all the Sri Lankan educators and foreign educators who have joined with us on this session. So first of all, I would like to invite Dr. Dheeraj Malhotra to speak a few words.
Thank you. Thank you so very much for inviting me. And it's indeed a great pleasure for me always to be a party to this platform. And today I'm in capacity to be there to welcome everyone at the International Educational Summit for Quality Education and this series of quality parenting and other initiatives reflects on our priority towards the sustainable development goals, and above all, goal number 4, which is quality education. And henceforth, I being the venue partner for the International Conference on Education and Sustainable Development Goal, slated from 28th to 30th of October, I'm very sure this shall explore some of the new learnings on cards. And I'm thankful to the International Association for Quality Education and the South Asian International Association for Early Childhood Care and Development, the chairman, Mr. Janaka, and all the wonderful people involved at Sri Lanka, and my representatives from Bangladesh, Nepal, Bhutan, Pakistan, Indonesia, and above all, Sri Lanka. I'm really excited to welcome you all and look forward to making it a priority learning for one and all. Looking forward to listen to Mrs. Phillips today is an honor for me, and I'm very sure that this shall progress into a great talk show, not only for learning, but an experiential learning for all of us. So all the best to you, ma'am, and thank you once again for the opportunity. God bless everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Dheeraj. And with that, I guess we can start with the session. So I cordially invite Mrs. Rowena to start with the presentation.
Thank you, Dr. Dheeraj, for the warm welcome, and Hansana for the invitation. It's indeed a pleasure to speak at this forum, and without further delay, I would quickly want to share my presentation. Just bear with me. So we have been talking about this topic since the last and these wonderful futuristic Thursday, and truly it is a strong pillar for our sustainable growth. As I closed the last time to say that the hand that rocks the cradle rules the world, and we are what we are, and we are a reflection of our parents. Definitely their values, what they have taught us, and our identity cannot be disassociated with our parents. So today, I want to add to some of the things to last time and address a few challenges that parents could possibly face or do face, and move more in direction of helping parents to nurture their child with more parenting practices. So I love this quote which says in the Bible, Proverbs 22:6, train a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. And definitely, there is a very scientific understanding to it, like I explained a little bit in detail the last time, which I'll touch upon today as well, is the actual time of nurturing development of a child is very crucial between 0 to 7. The age 0 to 7 ends up dominating their entire life. So in terms of a lot of beliefs, a lot of characteristics, a lot of moral values, a lot of other repetitive patterns are a reflection of what the child may have picked up at the age between 0 to 7 years. So there comes in the early childhood parenting. One would wonder, I would need more parenting, or probably because I find my adolescent kid, a teenager child, more difficult to handle. But it all goes down to the early days. So therefore, highly critical for young couples, young parents to take up the understanding of parenting during the early days of the child. And when I say parents, I would also want to include all the caregivers, the teachers, wherever the child is interacting, whatever those connecting points are, highly critical. So parenting, in terms of when we look at the development of a child, we would, like I mentioned again the last time, that physical is something that we are aware of. I did speak about psychological and social also the last time. So these are another two areas where we have to also focus on the child. We normally end up looking at this when the child moves beyond 7, and may miss out to realize the fact that that little child is also growing up psychologically, even if we can't see it. While he is begun to crawl, and then he begins to walk, and then he begins to run, and then he begins to race, that is the physical development, but the child is also growing psychologically. And how healthy, how balanced is he, that is an understanding we tend to maybe disregard unknowingly, or we are negligent about it because we think, oh, what does the child understand? He is just so small. Social is also very critical. Your confidence, social interaction is also impacted at that age. And I just want to mention spiritual in terms of uh, also telling the child of what is purpose of existence, how important he is. Someone above there loves him, and bringing that element of calmness and peace inside of him, that there's someone always watching him. It really makes a difference. These are some of my family pictures. If you see, that's my daughter Joanna and Christis, and here you see my entire family. That's my
I'm
mom.
sorry to interrupt you. Yeah,
Yeah.
the slides are not yet moving. Yes, you're just stuck in the first slide.
Okay. Can you see it now? Still not?
Still, you are in the first slide.
Okay, I may have to stop share and do it again. No matter how much we familiarize with the technology, we have to find ways to deal with it all the time. Okay, here you go. Let's see. I hope it functions this time. Let me try another one. Please do let me know if it's moving.
Yeah, ma'am. Now it's fine.
It is? So
Yes.
this is a slide that I had mentioned: train a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. I was talking about the physical, psychological, social, and spiritual development. So just like we have it, a holistic development, a holistic parenting approach is what we are talking about through our programs. So this is my family picture. Now, is it visible?
Yes, ma'am, it's visible.
All right. So you see a young parent, a couple, pretty young. That's me there, my husband, my daughter Joanna, and Christus. They are on the other end. They've grown up, and they've further grown up now. So that's my mom there, and again my grown kids. So just see the journey of 25, 26 years of parenting. You see Chris is very young there, like a baby, and here he's a mature child, very good, conducts himself, and very supportive as a son. So is my daughter. So just a journey that every parent goes through. It's a reflection, and years just go by, and you are so committed to that. Like I said the last time, you give up everything, and your entire world is surrounded or is focused around your kids. That's how important parenting is, and I really am grateful to be a part of this cause of building parents and coaching parents and giving them more understanding. I did cover this the last time, just to visit the importance of the early days again, from 0 to 12, how the child builds the fact, either trust or mistrust. These are some elements you might end up seeing in the adults, but then you may wonder where it comes from, but it comes from the early ages. This is the Erikson psychosocial theory, and I find it really relevant in all these years of parenting and my parenting experience, talking to numerous parents in schools, universities, etc. So highly important years, 1 to 3, where it's some basic things, where the child is learning toilet training, maybe brushing his teeth, maybe trying to get into small clothes, whatever it is. But then either he will learn autonomy, or he will pick up shame and doubt. It's all dependent on how he has been parented in the early stages of his life. And again, I think the mistrust is a repetition. We can just ignore it. 6 to 12 years, the industry versus inferiority. Again, the child going to school, meeting with his peers, interacting with, socializing, and trying to build his identity out there. Again, the 12 to 18 identity, whether he knows who he is, whether he's recognized who he is, or whether he is confused. Moving on to because I've covered all these things the last time, I'm not dwelling on that. There are other few things that I want to talk about, and in the interest of time, I'll move ahead. Intimacy versus isolation, where we said he looks at having his life partner, right, and then he moves on to his old age. Now, what I want to talk about, I think, like I said, today's parenting is struggling with the issues of media and phone technology, and I thought it is a very critical area to touch upon when it comes to positive parenting, and we don't have answers from our previous generation to this. So I've picked up some of the guidelines that the American Psychological Association mentions, and also refers to the American Academy of Pediatrics, that how we can educate our child in technology and not be reserved about technology, because that's exactly what happened during the COVID time and before the COVID time, the pre-COVID time. We were trying to get our children off mobiles and off online. And look what happened. When COVID happened, it was all all and each and every child, even a first standard, second standard child, early childhood, pre-primary, also were being trained online. So it is very important to train our child on technology, because a lot of influence in the development of our child now is being contributed by the media. So I was talking to some of the students, I keep interacting with students. That's an ongoing process. And earlier to this, we would wonder what has impacted my mind, what has impacted my psychology, or what has impacted my personality, what has impacted my mental health. It's I would say maybe my parents, who are your friends, who are you interacting with school. But now we don't know what affects us, because we are watching the media. You are watching, our kids are watching the YouTube. They are watching constantly. They're online, the news, the online world. There are so many chatting sites that probably I'm not aware of, and you don't know what affects you. So one day, my daughter seemed very upset, and I wondered what I said to her that she was, upset. And I went to have this chat with her, and I said, "What happened?" And she said, "I checked some of the online trolls, and that was overwhelming to hear this language of hate around, and I felt so unsafe." So you don't know what is affecting our children. There is a huge world around us. So therefore, there has to be guidelines to ensure that we are promoting healthy technology use for children. So some things, like I said, some guidelines given here for children under 18 months. Can't believe it. Yes, these young children, they want a mobile, and a real mobile. You try to fool them, giving an artificial mobile, they'll throw it away. They want the real mobile, which mom and dad are holding, right? So even children under 18 months now are touching the screen and feeling it. So we totally need to avoid screen-based media, except for if we want acquaintances, grandparents talking, video chatting. That's one recommendation that I would want to give here. For children 18 months to 24 months, parents should choose high quality programming and watch it with their children, so you know what they are watching, what could possibly impact their their eye distance, their posture. A lot of small children you see are wearing thick glasses. A lot of children are getting glasses at a very early age. The reason is, again, the screen time and the quality of screen that is being used for the kids. So I have one of the students who innovated a beautiful 3D programmed alphabets for children. So when you would download that app on the mobile and you would touch A, there would be an apple that popped out of the screen. So beautiful, a young engineering student. The only question I asked him, it's beautiful, it's selling out, everything. I bought it for my nephew. But how can we avoid giving that mobile to that child at such an early age? Because of the screen effect, because of his eyes, can we look at any other device that you could alternately create? It was beautiful 3D augmented alphabets, where you touch the screen, B for bird, and the two birds in the nest with the eggs would pop up out of your screen, and that's very, very exciting. So for children 2 to 5, limit screen time to 1 hour per day, again with high quality programming. The other aspects are that a lot of research has said that screen time is not the only thing that we would want to look at. We would want to look at the content and the context also the child is looking at. So we may just be focused on screen time, and he should not watch this much, and he should not watch more than that time, but it's very important. What is the content? You see, a lot of content is floating around which looks like a cartoon, but is not meant for children. So we might end up showing our kids a cartoon, but realizing or not realizing how it is impacting his mind. I want you to have Sir Dr. Dheeraj mentioned experiential, so I will try to gradually introduce that into our sessions. Let me just give you, a demo, rather, ask you to do something. Close your eyes and imagine a pink elephant. Or if you don't want to close your eyes, I just still want you to, with your open eyes, imagine a pink elephant. And are we able to imagine a pink elephant? May I have a Y or an N in the chat box? Maybe I have the chat box before me. If you can just mention, if it's a yes, you could see a pink elephant, give me a Y. And if it's a no, give me an N in your chat box. And I hope that it refreshes and shows me over here. It just takes some time. Not at once, right? But I'm getting the point that you were still able to see a pink elephant or not? Okay, not at once. Fair enough. That's a fair point. So I'll tell you what, when I ask this to young kids and I tell them, imagine a pink elephant, yes, some are unable to imagine and some are able to imagine. And some of them tell me that we did imagine a pink elephant that we had seen in so and so cartoon. So if you have not seen a lot of cartoons with pink elephants, you were not able to imagine it at once maybe. But you've watched a lot of cartoon with those pink elephants, because there are a lot of cartoon having that color of elephant. There are some movies. You're able to imagine that pink elephant. So you see how we are able to recall images in our brain, and that's how the brain represents information through images. So how powerful those visuals are that our kids are watching on the TV without parental guidance. If so, then it's very, very risky. So if I go on even asking you to imagine more images, it will all pop up, but only when you've seen it and not seen it, or else you may have to create it. So images is visuals, in other words, is a representation in our brain, and that's a language that the brain understands. I may emphasize someday on words and the other stuff. So let's stick to the digital guidelines here. Another thing that I would want to tell the parents here is don't overreact to say, oh, you should not use mobile and it's not right. And, it is very normal that the child will get inquisitive, he will get curious, but what you have to make sure is that you are calm and encouraging your child to use it, educate him to tell what are the advantages and what are the disadvantages. So teach kids about technology from a very young age. I remember as a parent, I taught my kids, or we taught our kids, to say that whatever is being shown to you on TV is all acting and it is not real. And they would repeat it back to us. So when they would see a scene where, somebody is flying or something which is very unrealistic, they never agreed to the fact that it is real. They always said, mom and pop, it is not real, right? They are acting. They would repeat our verbatim. So those are some of the things that you need to educate our children with, to use our judgment, what sites are authentic, what sites are not authentic. Sometimes we might just type in Google any word and just open up the screen, not knowing what is the content, how authentic they are. Are there scammers on there? Are there wrong people on there? Because a lot of lot of things are happening online with children, and we can be in ignorance. We heard of this one game where children, a lot of children committed suicide and nobody knew what's happening, and later on with some findings we did found out that they were threatening the children in a way that they will harm their loved ones or their families. So I don't have to stretch a lot on that. You understand that it's really, really critical. Protection of bedtime. A lot of children may face insomnia, difficulty in sleeping, and what they're watching before their sleep. So therefore, it's important. Somebody gave me a very good suggestion that just like you have just like you use an alarm bell to wake up, you should use an alarm bell to go to bed. That means the alarm bell rings, and 1 hour after the alarm bell rings, you do not use any gadgets or mobile. So you are sleeping like that. Paying attention as a parent is very important. There are many apps that you would get where you can download the app and be able to see what the child is watching, how many hours the child is watching. All that is very critical. And some of the behavior that the child is displaying also is a reflection of what he is watching online, which is also something that the teachers have to be aware of. Teach good online behavior. So children think that I'm not harming anybody because I am mentioning a comment which is rude, which is harsh, which is not good online. And therefore we have cyberbullying. Personally, I have handled so many cases of cyberbullying where the child was on the verge of attempting suicide. So teachers didn't know what's happening. Parents were not sure because the behavior became very erratic. I'm talking little older children here, 14, 15, right? So right from the early age, when we as parents, we train the child for a good online behavior, that just like you can't abuse on the face, it's a great idea not to even be abusive or use harsh language when you are interacting online. Train your child to discuss, and be competent in digital decision making. This is all recommended by the American Academy of Pediatrics and the APA. So these are the bodies who have given some of these guidelines for parents to be educated in promoting healthy technology, and very important element of positive parenting. So while we have a lot of online friends, it's very important to foster real life friendships as well. So I hope this gives some amount of relief to parents who are looking for answers in terms of managing the challenges with the digital world today. Some other elements I would speak about is, there was this experiment done where there was a father who's smoking, and the small boy is sitting next to him, and he tells the child, don't smoke because smoking is injurious to health. So is the child going to listen to what the father is saying, or is he going to watch him? He definitely will watch him, and he will end up doing what his father is doing. So as parents, as teachers, we are role models. So we want to reflect values which we want our children to reflect back to us. So we can't expect say, don't do this, and you are doing that yourself, because the child will not listen to you, he will only mirror you. That is scientifically proven. So while the parent is always tired when he is young, I'm tired, I'm tired, I'm tired. One day the child, after studying 1 hour, he'll say, Papa, I'm tired. So if you want to see an energetic child, you better keep energy to play, go around, be adventurous, and use a lot of positive affirmations. Creating a safe environment for the child is very important. Love, acceptance, and engaging with the child. Unconditional love is very, very important. Telling the child that I love you unconditionally, not because of what you have achieved, because you have got 90 marks or because you've got 80 marks. It really impacts deep on self-worth of the child. So I know we have the question time as well, Ansana. We have a question time as well.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Yes. So, well, another 5 minutes and I would be concluding. So we have time for questions. Communication in any relationship is very important, but all the more with children. I last time recited an example of a principal where the child is complaining to the principal saying, my mom sits next to me with her mobile and she's on her mobile and I'm sitting next to her. So I feel neglected. And the principal happened to say, oh, be thankful your mom is sitting next to you at least. Well, that was a positive way to put it across, but definitely, I see my pet, who is a dog, and she would not allow us to be on our mobile. She would come on with her paws, moving the mobile when she wants the attention. So you can imagine how much our children need not only our attention, but a time where you can talk, not only downloading instructions. Mostly the Asian parenting is downloading instructions, and it's rare that we have been tuned or programmed to listen and give our children space for expression. Okay, well, you give your explanation. Why did you do this? What happened? We would say, no, don't say anything. Keep your mouth shut. Listen to me. This is most of it, the Asian way of communication. It's important to even touch the child, hug the child, because that is the kinesthetic development of the child. That is the emotional and the feeling part of the development of the child. So communicating through words, communicating through touch, and listening is also an extremely important part of communication here. Discipline, training, instructing, and leading the child also very, very critical. How you're training? Are you using violence? Are you talking? Are you giving an example? Are you taking him out and explaining things? All this will impact. Constantly instructing the child also is important, and in instructions, checking whether he is understanding your instructions and leading the child into a better future. Moral values somehow have now been replaced by a subject called as personality development. Earlier, we used to have moral science. Now it is personality development. So a lot of personality development now, I have noticed, have in confidence, we have gone to the extreme of encouraging unapologetic behavior. Like I last time I told you that I met a couple of students who don't know what it means to say sorry, because they are very unapologetic, because that is an element of confidence. So there we have to get a little bit of balance to bring in, the right values, because values drive a child or an adult right from the highest level of the mind. Having the right attitude, perspectives. Just the other day, I was speaking to some students who are settling into, a newly constructed infrastructure of a university and did not have closets. and they kept their clothes in the cartons. In a few days they will have it, in a few days, but they were like, girls were complaining, ma'am, we don't have closets, and this and that. And I said, you know what, I have hosted students from Germany, and Germany in their line of education makes it mandatory for all the students to take up an internship to any of our Asian countries, where they learn that minimalism, they learn to appreciate what they have. So when students came to India, there was one student, I said, what is a report that you're going to send today? What have you learned from India? He said, oh, I have learned that even if there is no electricity, I can live. So they went to a village and the electricity went off, the 2 hours of shutdown. And he's like, I'm still breathing. I thought when electricity goes, the world will come to an end. So it was a big, big lesson for him. The other child said, okay, what are you sending for your report? He said, I learned that we can bathe with a bucket full of water. I don't always need a shower, because with the shower, I have no measurement of how much water I'm wasting. So I go back to my country appreciating I have enough water, I have electricity. So I educated them in saying, having the right attitude, when you don't have it, you can still live with minimum. And their frustration went off. So building in small things of attitude, experimental, experiential, in however way, very, very critical, goes a long, long way. And like I said, spiritual, telling the person that you are very important. This generation is suffering with a lot of depression issues. It's become a very common ailment in the young people, because they don't understand that they have a purpose, and life is much more than materialism, and there is more to life, like kindness, giving to people, spreading positivity, all that. And it really makes a difference when one understands purpose. So for all this, I know that we have a lot of joint support groups for various mental health reasons also, and various other reasons. I would encourage organizations or maybe schools to, going forward, create a joint support group for parents. We have the parenting session. I know that earlier to our days, we never had a PTM, which we call parent teachers meeting, where parents and teachers meet. But what happens is, nowadays a parent teachers meeting has become a more complaint session. What your child has done, what he's not doing, all that. So schools, I think, should also introduce this, a joint support group for parents, where a group of parents can come and share with each other what their challenges are. And it should be voluntary, of course, and where they understand that they are not alone facing what they are, because parenting is not easy. It goes through a roller coaster and many, many ups and downs. So with that recommendation, I would want to close. And I thank you for the listeners for being with me. And Hansana, I put it over to you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. So we have few, yeah, we have a few joined from Sri Lanka and other countries as well, I guess. So if you all have any questions, this is the time to clarify. Yes, ma'am. Now, you were referring to like becoming a role model as a parent. So like nowadays, especially with the pandemic, lots of parents have to work from home. So in that case, like they are intended to use their laptops like maybe for hours and hours. So in such a situation, like how are we supposed to convince, especially the very young children, like, so they might be like noticing like, I've experienced it myself, because when my husband is using the laptop, sometimes like my kids are very young, so they might come to their father and ask like, you are using the laptop for hours and hours, and why you are not giving it for us? the same way. Like you might be giving it us for maybe 30 minutes or 40 minutes, but you've been using it for hours and hours. So why not us? So in such an instance, like how are we supposed to overcome this? Like how are we supposed to convince the children?
Very, very good question, I would say, Hansen, and a very realistic scenario that we face, because even now we work from the hybrid model and a lot of us have gone to total work from home. I have addressed parents on this as well. So just to give you an example, maybe a decade plus ago, I used to do night shifts, right? And my work would be US timing, and how we educated our children, because no other parent would probably do all the other normal parents would do a day shift. So we bought the globe and we educated the child to say, see, these are different countries. So this is India and this is US. And especially my husband did that. And he said, see, when it is day here, it is night there, and when it is night there and day here. And children got the logic. And they said, so mom works like this because there everybody is awake. So they got the point and they would really be very happy about me working. So how I would suggest the parents now is have a separate workplace. It's very important that you have a separate workplace, maybe a small table or a space where your children know that that's your workspace. And when you are sitting there with your laptop, it's work time. Please don't sit in your pajamas. Make sure you're also dressed formally, so they can identify that when you're sitting at your space, that's work time, and we are dressed, it's work time. So you are working. And maybe a little more education on what's the kind of work you do. Kids are very smart. And in one way, they are so simple that they will take what you say at what you say, your face value, but they will be watching you also. So when you change to your non-formal clothes, they know that you are off work. And you have to make sure that you're not sitting with your laptop on the bed. So, all these things really have helped parents that I have spoken during pandemic, and helped their children to realize, oh, mom is at work. They are working, and they're working very hard, so hard that they are all the time on the laptop. That's the kind of message and value you put in them. And then when you relax, you can then be there with them and spend quality time with them. It has worked for a lot of my clients, Hansana, and I hope this small tip will help other parents and you as well.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. And it was indeed like it makes sense. Yes, especially like the thing that you mentioned, highlighted on, like you don't have to like stay in your pajamas and do it. So that children can differentiate, like this is not normal work, like this is typically the work from home. So thank you, ma'am. And the other thing is, like, now this generation of parents are of course like dealing with technology for a greater extent. They are used to Facebook, they are using YouTube, and they are used to like search anything in Google. So they can't really get rid of technology. So when that generation becomes parents, like all of a sudden they cannot change this pattern, they cannot change this routine. Maybe for very young mothers, because I've noticed like my cousins, some cousins, like even when they become parents, they can't get rid of their habit of using Facebook continuously, like maybe watching Netflix continuously. They cannot, all of a sudden they cannot get rid of this. So but like finally this might affect their children, because you cannot become a role model like by doing so. So in such a case, like how do you like advise the parents, because we have to think from the parents point as well, because they need to have kind of me time. So like balancing, to how to strike a balance between this.
Right, well said. And this is the new age or the modern day issues that we face. See, just like we dealt, I may be a little harsh to say, but it is mentioned now in the book that there is something called as mobile addiction as well. How many times you touch the screen, how many minutes you are away from the screen. So just like, we were as parents able to transition, maybe a father would smoke earlier, and when he had his child, he would end up refraining, taking measures to stay away from that, maybe alcohol. Similarly, as parents, as responsible parents, that we are role models and parents are going to watch us, and there are so many educative videos that have happened. It's scary to what extents mobile usage in parenting can cost a child's life also, because one eyes here and there and your children might jump here, do this, do that. So knowing all that, being taught all that, if still the parent is not able to manage that habit, then they need to get professional help. As simple as that. If while knowing, being aware, being conscious that they're not supposed to do that, they have to practice, take all the measures. That means keep the mobile away for some time, put on the status, maybe, message if urgent, whatever the requirements are, manage all that. And in spite of that, if they feel compulsive to use the mobile over and above the fact that they have to attend to their child, then they need to get professional help to deal with it. So very, very valid point, and a very critical point. We were talking from the children's point of view. You raised a very important point to say that what is how the parents can get help here. And therefore the support groups also.
Yeah,
There
thank
is
you,
a
ma'am.
question on the chat.
Yeah, sure, ma'am. Yes.
So should I answer that?
Yeah, sure, ma'am. Yes.
Yes. So Mr. Siju, I believe, has said that if we speak about tiredness, they too will complain the same. But how to manage them when we really can't have the energy to deal with their talks and words. See, if you have small kids around, you better build your energy, I would say, because they would want to talk to you, they would want to play with you. And some examples of childhood that I had, where the parent always complained of being the child is coming up and say, Papa, I did this in school, or Mama, I did this in school. And we are saying, I'm tired, don't talk to me now. At the end of the day, no matter how grown the child is, they will feel not heard. Not heard. They might end up interpreting it as not being loved. So that is another higher element to tiredness and exhaustion. But you have to find that balance of really, while we are working, work so much that when you come back home, you're still energetic. So there the work-life balance would come into the picture. Building your energy maybe by exercising and eating right, or seeing a physician if you don't have. Once in a while, it's fine, absolutely fine. We have those ups and downs. But if we constantly go back telling our child that I'm tired, one, he'll feel neglected, other, he'll start reflecting you, and you will wonder how come the child is feeling tired after just 2 hours of studies, because he's role modeling you. So no choice but to bring that work-life balance, eat right, exercise as young parents, and build up energy and be adventurous, so you'll see that reflection in your children. I hope that helps.
Yes, of course, ma'am. So any more questions we have? Madhushi Hansika, do you have any question? Yeah. The other thing is, ma'am, now with the pandemic, and then especially in Sri Lanka, considering this whole problem, like we
Right,
nowadays we have these online sessions for children. Even for the very
right,
young children, we have the online session. So like
right,
with that, they kind of like get used to the habit of like using technology even for studies. They would get it as an excuse, like we have to do our studies, we have to like Google, and we have to like search in YouTube and do this thing. Even very young children might get used to this because of this trend of like online classes. So how to like get rid of this with this pandemic, with these fuel issues and other issues, like we cannot avoid online classes in such situations. So like how are we supposed to like maintain a healthy introduce them the healthy technological usage?
right. I think we just, like I said, all the points that I mentioned is be vigilant, pay attention, check, be diligent what your kids are watching. There are a lot of apps nowadays to block. I've come across, I don't exactly know of the name of the apps, but if you search a little bit more, there are parental apps where they can lock a lot of other sites. So if they are going on YouTube, it's only the kids section that they are able to watch. They are not able to watch any other content. All these things have to be educated, have children have to be educated in that, because technology is not that bad. If they are watching something which is creative, maybe online, they might end up reflecting that as well. So we know that children are now coming up with coding and with other things, inventions which we never ever imagined. That's because of their accessibility to this amount of knowledge. They are learning dancing and don't know how many other skills which we probably never had access to. So, but the only thing is what they are watching is something important. One is they have to be sat through, so your moral values, your education of the child, helping him decision making, all these parenting elements will come into the picture. And parents also have to be aware of what technology we can use to restrict them. That is another part of it. The fact is, and the positive point is, at least they have continuity of education.
Thank you very much, ma'am. So with that, I guess we are done with the questions. In case like anyone has questions, I can give another couple of minutes. Yeah, yes. So with that, I guess we can wind up the session. So prior to winding up, I have a small announcement as well. So as we all know now, happy parenting is still a new area for Sri Lankan mothers as well as for the educators. So we kind of like thought of having a short paid course with Mrs. Rowena to educate the parents as well as the educators or anyone who wishes to join with us. So if anyone who wishes to join for this course, like we can help you with the registration process and with more details in going in the coming up sessions. So I just wanted to remind you on that as well. And I would like to thank Mrs. Rowena for joining with us for this session today. And it was such a wonderful session. And as a mother of two, I personally learned a lot from your presentation and with the discussion. Thank you very much, ma'am. And we are looking
My
forward to
pleasure.
have, yeah, and we are looking forward to have many more sessions like this, which will be really fruitful, which will be really supportive for the especially parents in the Asian countries. And finally, once again, I would like to remind you all about the summit in October. So it's the South Asian Educational Summit for Quality Education 2022, which will be held from 28th to 30th October 2022 in Lucknow, India. So with that, we can wind up today's session. I hope to meet you all with a wonderful session next Thursday again. So please join with us for that session as well. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.